Hey folks, I'm attorney Roger P. Foley, and today I want to talk to you about wrongful death and negligent security. A while back, my office was contacted regarding this type of case, and the facts were as follows. The individual was a 34-year-old male. He was arriving home from work. He and his family had lived in a gated apartment complex in Palm Beach County, and he was walking from his car to his apartment when he was robbed at gunpoint and he was shot. And he died a few days later, unfortunately, from his injuries. He left behind a pregnant wife and a 5-year-old son. And the wife, she was a stay-at-home wife. They didn't have life insurance. He was the sole provider. And the burial services alone were almost $15,000, which they ultimately got a GoFundMe set up to help with that. As you can imagine, the family was emotionally devastated from their loss and the financial burden that was placed on this mom. So they lived at ABC Apartments. It's a middle-income community, and it's generally a nice place to live. There's security at the entrance and the exit of the location, and all the cars that come in and out of the complex need to go through security. And occasionally, there's a third security guard that patrols the clubhouse and the pool area, and that security guard simply just makes sure that it's only tenants that are using the weight room and the pool. If you ever lived in an apartment complex, you understand what happens. So there are 4 gates to this property. One of the gates had been broken for about 3 months prior to the shooting. And if you pulled hard enough on this gate, it would pop open. So you didn't really need to use that magnetic card. And after the shootings, the family discovered that there had been several car burglaries and another armed robbery within the last year. Additionally, there was a motorcycle that had been stolen from the parking lot. The wife and the parents were seeking legal help. Now, to analyze this case, we need to look at it in 2 parts. The first part, who has the right to recover financial compensation in a wrongful death in Florida? And 2, does the apartment complex have any liability for not providing adequate security? Under Florida law, the surviving spouse and the children may bring an action for wrongful death. As a negligent security attorney, our office is tasked with the job of investigating ways to prove that the owner of the property was negligent in providing security to its tenants. So how do we do it? First way we do it is we look at past crimes at the apartment complex, and we can acquire these records, statistics through a public records request. This helps to determine if the apartment complex owner knew or should have known that there were prior crimes. The next thing we do is we speak with prior victims. Anyone who is a victim at the apartment complex or in the general area. Because we have the police reports, we can acquire the names of the actual victims and speak to them. The next thing we do is we review the advertising and welcoming packages of the apartment complex. Often they outline the information about the security provided at the location. For example, they may advertise that this is, quote, a safe community, but then we find that they're skimping on the security. The next thing we do is we determine what was the security plan for the apartment complex. How were they protecting the tenants? We look at the placement of video cameras, the amount of security personnel versus the amount of tenants, and we use that information to establish how the owner failed to provide a normal standard of care to the tenants. Next, we hire security experts to demonstrate that the owner breached his duty of care by failing to provide adequate security for the tenants and their guests. Lastly, we look at the apartment owner's internal records that include prior notice of crime, those burglaries that we talked about, that stolen motorcycle. We also look at their records of what they spent on security, what cameras needed to be repaired. Inadequate security and wrongful death cases often go hand in hand. The criminal, even if captured, rarely has the money to compensate the victim or their family. If you or a family member have been hurt at a business due to negligent security, just call me, attorney Roger P. Foley. The consult is free, and if you retain us, there is no fee unless we recover for you.